Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 2 of my favorite 30 albums of the 1960s. We've been doing the countdown each and every day this month here in September 2023. 30 days in the month. We're all picking out our 30 favorite albums across all genres released in the 1960s. Of course, I'm only limiting myself. I'm only limiting myself. I am limiting myself to just one album per any band or artist. So we've got a wide open playing field, but you are all, of course, able to list as many as you like per any given artist, right? So I'm just trying to squeeze as many cool albums by cool bands and artists as possible, instead of having like 3 or 4 per a band, right? It's just then all of a sudden you've got very little bands represented, right? So today for my pick number 2, it's a debut album from this British band, released October 10th, 1969, produced by the band themselves for Island, Atlantic, and EG Records. I'm talking about In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson. Yes, many of you have predicted that this would be high up on my list. You are correct. One of the earliest full-on representations of what would be called progressive rock just a few years later. At the time, it was just a really cool, groundbreaking record that blended rock with jazz and classical music and symphonic music, right? And of course, in the band at the time, Mr. Greg Lake on lead vocals, bass guitar, Robert Fripp, electric and acoustic guitars, Ian MacDonald, saxophone, flute, clarinet, mellotron, harpsichord, vocals, Michael Giles, drums, percussion, backing vocals, and of course a honorary member of the band, Peter Sinfield, who wrote their lyrics, right? Didn't play anything, but wrote their lyrics. Helped out the production as well. So what do we have on this amazing, amazing album? It starts off with the chaotic, heavy and raucous 21st century Schizoid Man. Another one of those songs that could arguably, it's funny, when I did a show way back here on the channel of those really influential albums for, like, influential early heavy metal albums, or albums that influenced greatly what we now know as heavy metal. And I often cite this album because I think 21st Century Schizoid Man has a lot of heavy metal moments on it, right? The big metallic guitars and the complex time signatures and whatnot, and the shredding guitar soloing, right? But yeah, such a great song, so heavy and just different for the time. That segues into I Talk to the Wind, which is absolutely gorgeous. Again, it's kind of jazzy, kind of folky, very British. Great vocal on that. And then, of course, arguably my favorite song on the album, which is Epitaph. And Epitaph is one of those songs that has 2 amazing things on it. A just tearjerker of a vocal from Greg Lake, possibly my favorite vocal from him all time. And that's saying something because the guy had some, amazing examples of his wonderful singing style on all those great Emerson, Lake and Palmer albums, right? But Epitaph just gets me right here. It's so emotional. And then the mellotron. Mellotron, the weepy mellotron is just, it's so huge sounding and so sorrowful, and man, Epitaph just gets me every time. Then of course you got Moonchild, the haunting Moonchild, which kicks off side 2. Again, the use of like these atmospherics and mellotron to create like drama, and it's substituting what would normally be an orchestra, right? The Moody Blues did this before King Crimson, but King Crimson took it to another level with a lot of these early albums. And then, of course, speaking of mellotron, it's back once again for In the Court of the Crimson King, which finishes off the album. And again, drama and emotion, just, it's haunting, it's menacing, it's all these things in one. Great stuff on this album. And again, it's a really different album than, King Crimson's early albums were all very different from each other. The second album, The Wake of Poseidon, is very much like this. So I shouldn't really say that because the first 2 albums are definitely of a pair. But then you got like Lizard and Islands, right? Each one of those are really, really different lineup. Fripp would change the lineup over and over again. And then, of course, you have the next group albums, which are also of a set kind of. That's some Bill Bruford comes into the band, John Wetton comes into the band, David Cross, Jamie Muir for Larks, Tongues, and Aspic, right? So, again, those are more improvisational, definitely heavier, right? And more jammy. So, yeah, great stuff here. Just such a great stuff. And plus, that cover art. Who can forget that, right? It's, you know, it's kind of frightening. It's kind of goofy, right? It's just yeah, awesome stuff. All right, so charting stuff. Australia, number 7. Canada, this made it to number 26. Japan, it made it to number 96. In the UK, went all the way up to number 5. And in the US Billboard Top 200 albums, it peaked at number 28. So not a huge album, but it did pretty well. Canada went platinum, 100,000 units sold. Italy, because Italy likes their symphonic rock stuff, right, Sal? It's, gold, 25,000 units sold. I'd argue that the success of this album and early King Crimson in Italy paved the way for the success that bands like Genesis had, Gentle Giant had in Italy, and certainly their own bands like PFM and Banco and Leorme and whatnot, right? So, all of them highly influenced by this album and this band. United Kingdom, this went gold, 100,000 units sold. And here in the United States, as of last certification date, this also went gold, 500,000 units sold. So, I don't imagine there were any singles released from this album. Well, I stand corrected. The Court of the Crimson King, the title track, was released October 1969 in the UK as a single. Yeah, I imagine not released here as a single. Although, 21st Century Schizoid Man, I have heard on classic rock radio from time to time over the years. Can't remember the last time I heard it. But yeah, growing up, I remember hearing that every so often. So, yeah, there you have it. In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson is my number 2 pick for favorite albums of the 60s. Let us know what you think of this legendary album in the comments below, as well as your pick for today, pick number 2. And visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page where you can get all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility stuff, and our Cameo page where you can get a personalized video from myself. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for pick number 1. Before we move into overall favorite albums of the 70s, I think I have my list pretty much set. It's tough because there's some great albums I love that aren't making the top 31. But it is what it is, right? You can only pick 31, so that's coming up on Sunday, October the 1st. But stay tuned in just a little while. We got Martin Popoff coming into the Funhouse on this rainy day in the Hudson Valley. He's traveling through the rain to get here to spend some time with me talking about albums by bands that are their Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, 4 Physical Graffiti presence into the outdoor, and Coda. If that doesn't make any sense at all to you, well, tune in to see what we're talking about, right? So that's coming up in just a little bit. We also got the Professor's Picks coming up later today. Ken Golden will be showing us some cool new releases that are coming out today on Record Release Day here on Friday. And then, of course, we've got Ranking the Albums on Sunday. It's a double shot, 2 weeks in a row of Doom. We've got, last week was Church of Misery with Karen La Preziosa. This week, and that was Japan. This Sunday, we're going to the UK. Ryan Scow from the Hudson Valley Squares and myself will be ranking the albums of the mighty Electric Wizard. So that's coming up on Sunday. And then, of course, we've got In the Proxy happening on Tuesday as we start the work week off again. So take care, everybody. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.